Huh, there's a black edge on the... Doesn't usually do that. Interesting. Wonder if that's a recent change to aspect ratio. Anyway, I guess this is the last day of recap for food and... Oh, come on, I lost the page again. Are you kidding me? There we go. For food and product development projects for the year. So I did the taste test videos for different types of things, keto and protein bars. So I covered those. We also covered the mukbang and the cooking show that I did. That just leaves the recipes that I was supposed to do this year and got fed up with YouTube copping out on me and killing my stream in the middle of trying to explain the recipes. And I sort of hit that hurdle of trying to determine whether or not I could or would be able to do a post on, what was it? Not Pinterest, though Pinterest might actually be a place worth looking into. And it wasn't LiveJournal. It was, what's the other one? I can't even remember. I'm so bad at this. I'm so bad at social media. Anyway, posting a blog post to posting a recipe to a blog. My concern for that was whether or not I would be able to maintain the rights to those things for publication in future works. And so I built the basic recipes of what I was working on. I also would like to pursue making decent photographs of the food, which I took a online course on Coursera, no, Skillshare, I think it was, for food photography. So I did kind of pick up some of the skills I should be able to use towards making a good presentable recipe. I got fed up with the fact that every time I tried to do a video for cooking recipes, it crashed YouTube for me. So I kind of gave up on that, and I haven't really gone back to fiddling with some of those again. I think what I'm going to try to do in the new year is make each of those recipes and take a good photograph of them, and then use those to illustrate those and release them as simple recipes, and then more complex written recipes with a higher quality image for print book, like a Kindle or print book that you can get for cooking. And so that's something I do think I'll try to continue to pursue further. This is going to be a quicker video tonight because I only have one item per category to cover, because it's been 2 each night until now. So working on the recipes, I think going forward, I don't know that I'm going to do a lot of original recipe creation for this channel in the future. I might have a little bit of fun for it, but originally when I started working on my YouTube channel ideas, my first idea was to do a cooking show. And I talked a little bit about doing the cooking show last night. Going forward, I'm not sure I want to do the cooking show for this channel, but when I originally planned to do YouTube, I wanted to do a YouTube cooking show. And these channels, this channel and the Roving Jack channel, were channels I came up with as other little fun hobby channels I can do on the side until I get what I need ready to do the YouTube cooking show. Well, I haven't gotten that any more ready than I was 2 years ago. Well, that's not true. I mean, I learned enough in doing it today, in this year, that I have a better sense of what I need to do going forward. I do believe I still have that other YouTube channel that I set up. Um, I think what I need now is to set up a computer with OBS and still images for recipe cards and lower thirds with a camera 1, camera 2, maybe even a camera 3 that I can cycle in between and flip back and forth and do the cooking show that way for that channel. And so, I mean, I may do a little practice with OBS to get that done. And I kind of want to release most recipes that I do on content that I create under that channel as a separate entity, not doing it as Inspired Content Cooks kind of stuff. So I think I'm more likely to do any food-based stuff going forward on this channel as taste tests, maybe mukbangs, testing out different food products. But I don't foresee myself doing much live cooking. Maybe cooking prompts, so inspired ideas. I had like an example of that would be the other day. I'm ringing somebody out at the store I work at, and they're getting Swiss Miss hot cocoa mix and some dried banana chips. Now, clearly, those were just two items in a much bigger purchase, and they're not meant to be mixed together. But my thought was when I first did that was, I'm like, bananas and chocolate I think would go well enough together that I bet you if you took dried banana chips and mixed them into hot cocoa, they may rehydrate enough to make a slightly chewier chocolate banana mix. And I feel like that might be worth taste testing. And so it wouldn't be a recipe so much as trying something like that out. The other thing I've commented on as people go through my line sometimes with large orders, you see people purchasing like Yoo-hoo or chocolate milks of certain kinds. And I got to thinking, like, we've got a chocolate cake, like a boxed chocolate cake mix in the back of the store. And I was wondering if you take one of those recipes and instead of using plain milk, using chocolate milk, I wonder if that's going to make a much fudgier chocolate cake. And so just doing that experiment might be something I might do on this channel, because that's more about like ideas inspired by things and experiments and trying to be creative, and less about demonstrating a recipe, which I don't think is a direction I want this channel to go in. Now, that might be where I start up my third channel eventually, taking it, one step further and formalizing a recipe for something like that. So that was the last of the food categories this week. And similar to that, with the not quite a failure, but still sort of a failure of the recipes portion, that I couldn't get the YouTube to cooperate with me that week. The product for the last of the 5 products that I made that don't include the 4-channel audio game that I was playing with would be the backpack design that I was working on. Now, the design exists, and the design seems to be a fairly good one. I just don't have my sewing skills and access to the equipment I need to pull it off with a thicker material like a canvas. So I have not finished the prototype. I finished the designs. So I'm kind of going to call that one a failure too, just because I didn't get the finished product of it. But if I remember the discussion, the design aspects I went through before, it's designed to be a backpack that I can throw over, sort of like here. I can put over one shoulder with a strap. That's not a backpack. But over a shoulder with one strap, and put my arm through, and then it opens on the side here like this, so that I can undo this shoulder strap, just slide out of it, and just drop this bag down and then access it from the side like this with zippers on the side. And there are 3 layers of those zippers. And it's designed to be that way from either side. So either shoulder I can drop it off of and swing it around to the other one. And then say this is the side of it, this is the strap, this is the bottom of it, and this is the top side of it. The top side I also want to be a top in like computer pouch and a computer and notebook, because I probably carry these around if I had a better ability to keep them around with me. So I mean, that design I think works well for me, and it can hold most of all of my little things that I need for the microphone, for the camera on here, as well as my portable cameras for still shots and 780p. Is it 720? 780? 1080? No, so it's got to be 720. So I just need like my mini tripod, I can fold this handle down, so that would fit in. It's about the same size as the notebook. That camera would fit fine. My portable camera would fit fine. I could probably do a lav mic rather than this mic. And my audio recorder, a backup camera, SD cards, backup batteries, chargers, and cords for everything. That should all be able to fit into that backpack design. Now, I should also be able to fit in some, like a lunch pouch, and a few other little incidental things I will need while I'm traveling. But it was really built around the idea that the things I had available to me when I was traveling, you're allowed a computer bag that you can tuck under your seat and use while you're flying. And then there's an overhead bin storage. And I can fit almost all the clothes I need for a week. And if I stretch it, probably close to 10 days in an overhead bin bag size. So it's super easy for me to do that. And I wouldn't be in such a tight spot to, if I have an overhead bin like that, an overhead bin bag like that, if they decide they need to tuck some of those under the plane, it wouldn't put me out, worried about what's happening to my laptop, my cameras, and all that stuff. I have that all with me. I prefer not to check my bags because it doesn't cost me anything to have one overhead bag and a computer bag. And I can travel far and easily with all of that. So that design was really built around what would make it easier for me to fly. If I'm going to go on a hike somewhere where I need to take some still images or a little bit of video, like a simple bag that I can carry behind me on my back and flip it out and grab something out of it when I need it and flip it back onto my shoulders again Like that's the design goal for that bag. And it's actually really versatile and simple for what I need it to be. I do think there was a plan eventually to go further down the line with additional luggage. So, like, if the backpack carries most of the important electronic and physical objects that I need for my travels, um, the the bag I would need for my clothing and my bathroom kit and that sort of stuff for the overhead bin would be bag number 2 design. And then potentially bag 3 would be something like, when you're going to go live in a place for a month, take your life with you sort of baggage. I don't need a lot of sets of clothes. Like, you give me a laundromat somewhere and 3 days worth of clothes and I'm good. I can shift around and shift between those things relatively easily. But doing long-term stuff, there are some things that are stowed stuff on a plane or a train that you kind of want to have access to during that month or several months in some cases. My plan eventually was to do some traveling to a few other countries. And so if my plan would have been to leave the US West Coast in June and arrive on the East Coast in September. So it would have to be something that I could do from maybe late March. No, late May all the way through late September. So it's literally, June, July, August, September, 4.5 months roughly. So 4.5 months out of a year. I've done that kind of run in my car before, and I have a sense of what I would need for that travel. And the bag on my back, that'll get me the ability to do the things when I'm there that I need to do. The overhead bag would give me the addition of the clothing I'd need while I'm traveling, and maybe some of the bathroom stuff. But there's just a little bit more long term when you're traveling long distances over long times that you kind of need, or at least make it easier to do that. And the additional aspect of when I do this traveling, I won't have the luxury of being able to drive myself in my car as I go. Having to plan for having to do that, you're going to be able to, you want to be able to move it. Say, if I want to go walking, from the airport to a bus station in Berlin, I need to be able to carry all of it. I need it to either fit together in a stack that would self-transport. Like, if the checked luggage bag was a rigid bag, almost like a steamer trunk on wheels on the back with a handle on one side that I can tow behind me, and the carry-on kind of snaps onto the top of that, where there's space where the handle still protrudes just past the carry-on, and carry-on lines up with the rest of the checked luggage. And then the over-the-shoulder bag has 2 anchor points where it straps to the front of that whole connection, like a backpack on my body would strap on. And then the whole thing is one solid unit that has a handle on top and wheels on the bottom that I can just tow behind me. Alternately, I can take the backpack off, wear it on my back, and tow the other things behind me if I need to, or leave them in a room where I check in. So those are the goals for the luggage. The design that I built for the first third of that design was the backpack. And I do think it fits relatively nicely with that idea. I think it informs where the steps of the design process are going to go for the latter two bags. Because what I would probably do is the stowed luggage that has the wheels on the bottom should have like fold away wheels that don't get in the way. Because that's one of the things they say a lot of on planes is you want to be able to not have your bag rolling around, but also not have the wheels protruding so much that they catch on other things and change the dimensions of the baggage. So have them fold away or otherwise disappear. The handle also fold away into the bag. And then have the top of the bag of the width that you're allowed for your carry-on. So that just kind of slots on top, but have that design of the top piece merging into the bottom piece with a little bit of a bump out that lets that strapped on backpack connect the top and the bottom piece with straps around the front of it. It's just some of the things I'm trying to keep in mind, that the backpack itself is a standalone design. You can use the backpack by itself, but it also sort of connects together to form a solid unit that's easy to transport and maintain and set up. It's sort of like a portable closet, like a toolbox for clothing and other things that you're taking with you, some bathroom kit and other stuff in the carry-on, some food storage in there maybe, and then the backpack over top of that. It just becomes this fold away closet or fold away bedroom essentially. But so that was the idea, and I think I've got a good design, but I do not have the current resources, because I mean I could probably out of thin material do a cheap mock-up with the like the iron and that stitch witchery, I guess is what it's called. It's an iron-on stitch replacement, so you don't have to thread a needle at all. It's this. It almost looks like dryer sheets. It looks like a somebody took dryer sheets and cut them into strips of like Scotch tape, and you set it down on one piece of fabric. You put the other piece of fabric over top of it. You run an iron over it, and the heat fuses those pieces together to form the bond between them. It's sort of like gluing two pieces of fabric together. And I could possibly find a fabric glue that might work too for a mock-up, but that sort of mock-up, I wouldn't put my laptop and I wouldn't put my notebook in and sling them over my shoulder, because that's just a recipe for throwing that stuff everywhere, a seam ripping open and dumping it everywhere. I might be able to make styrofoam mock-ups of those things and put them in there, but at that point, I'm making mock-ups of the things I'm going to put in there. I'm making a mock-up of the bag. I could probably just as easily see if I could get approved to use the sewing machines at the makerspace and go to the Goodwill and get a set of solid, like sturdy, like shower curtains, like the fabric shower curtains, cut that fabric up and stitch them on the sewing machines at the makerspace once I figure out how to do it. It's about the same amount of work. I don't have the time necessarily and the access right now or the skill set to do stitching with a machine. I could probably hand stitch it and it would probably take 3 or 4 days to do it. I don't know that I want to do that either. But so the backpack design is a good enough design, I think, for what I need it to be. And as I mentioned, I think I want to do the cooking show and recipe sets as for my intended to exist eventually cooking show channel, a different channel than this one. But I think I could possibly share some of the recipes that I came up with for that recipe set. I don't know that there are going to be a lot of them that I'm going to turn over into the cooking show, but I still may want to publish them as a cookbook. That's the tricky, like, who gets the rights to that if I publish it on a blog? So I have to think about that a little bit. So those are the ideas that that bring to an end the 5 things for each of food-based and product design that I did this year. Tomorrow is Sunday. Again, because we're dealing with 5 categories of things, this coming week, I should be able to settle on one from each of 2 categories each weekday. So Sunday is going to be a, I'll talk about where we're going to go this coming week, what categories we're going to cover, and some of that stuff. So tomorrow we'll discuss that. It's the lead in to the week of content. And then Saturday, I'm not sure. I might start rating what I've done, what I achieved this year. And so if I were to do that for this week, I'd say, like, I think I did really good with the cooking show, even though I hit some limits with what I can do with this technology. I think I learned enough from it that I know better how to do it going forward. The mukbangs, I learned it's not something I want to do very often. It's too much for me. I can't eat that way. My body's just not up for it. The protein bars and keto bars, I think I did my rant about how I feel about those food items like that. I think they're a poor choice for healthy eating. And that's really, other than that, the recipes, I need to figure out how I want to do them differently than what I was planning on this year. The products, the coasters and trays, I can reproduce those, and I do want to, like I mentioned, I do want to go and make a parallel one that I can use for different company logos, as well as a few other objects and plans I have for laser cut puzzle builds. The other things we did, what were the other things? The backpack, I do have the design for. I want to see if I can complete one in the next month or so at the Makerspace or something. So that's sort of gotten shuffled forward to the rest of the year. The puzzles, okay, the bullet journal designs, I want to get ready and finished by the start of the new year. I want to be able to have them to use for myself, and other people can get them as well. The Kaiju socks and the Hero sweatshirt, I kind of want to get the sweatshirt finished in time for my New Year uploading the series of the exercise routines that I do. The Kaiju socks, there's a little more time to play with that a bit, but I may see if I can get a test sample done for the socks to see how the wrapping pattern works. And then the t-shirt line, I think I said I'm going to do some political stuff, but I want to contact them and see about doing donations towards causes, and like a percentage of all sales will go to such and such. And I want to see if they have a way to embed that in the channel, or if I have to manage those funds and then send them back out. But I also want to be able to set it up so that maybe I can have that be a split off of my main site, my merch site, my clothing t-shirt design site, because I've got fun shareable shirt designs that are not political, and I don't want people to feel like they have to wade through the political to get the other stuff. So my hope is that there's a way to set that up, and I haven't had a chance to really look through that in the last couple of days because I've been working shifts, but I'm going to try to reach out to them. I don't know that they'll be open tomorrow, but I may send a message to them tonight. And so that really covers everything in there. So we've covered products and food. Any thoughts on where we go next? The videos and video games, maybe? Or do we do videos and art and music? Any thoughts? Any preferences? We also have board games and then books and health and well-being to cover. Although I think I'm going to hold off on the health and well-being stuff. I want to sort of set that up as a lead into New Year's and set it up because a lot of people do. Well, I'll cover that tomorrow. That's the warm up for where we're going. All right. So that's about a summary tonight, and we're right at about a half an hour, which works for me. So I appreciate you joining me tonight. I love having people to talk to and share my ideas with. So thank you, and take care and have a good night. Good night. Nope, there's no F in night. That's not how that works. And it's not even typing it. Thank you so much, YouTube. You're being a jerk about it. Being very difficult lately, YouTube. Hopefully your camera is up and running. I'm very curious to see if I'm going to see any videos from you on a channel you have. Looking forward to hearing about what you're doing with your new experimental stuff. Take care.